Good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings from Silicon Valley.
I grew up in Silicon Valley. I've been there for decades. When I moved there, it was full of orchards, peaches, cherries, apricots, and now Silicon Valley has given way to another fruit. How many of you have moved someplace as a child or as an adult where you didn't quite know if you fit in? Anybody like that? Well, I was like that. I didn't know if I was going to fit in. I was 12 years old, so I immediately donned the native costume. Don't you love the glasses? Ladies, wouldn't you like a pair like that? I was a budding nerdette. Who has been to Silicon Valley? A few of you. Excellent. Whoever did not raise your hand, could you find it on a map? Let me see all the people who could find it on a map. Not a lot of you. So I'm going to give you just a quick overview of where Silicon Valley is so it gives you a little bit more context. We're in California. We're in the Bay Area, south of San Francisco. We're an hour's drive south of San Francisco, not an hour KL traffic, but an hour Bay Area traffic. San Jose at the bottom is the self-proclaimed capital of Silicon Valley. I'm going to give you a really quick way to show your friends where Silicon Valley is. I need you to raise your right hand toward the screen like this. So you've got the thumb near San Francisco, you've got where your hand joins near San Jose, and then the bay is in between. So now you can say, Silicon Valley is my thumb. And if you want to come to Los Angeles, just know that it's down here. It's about a 6-hour drive to Los Angeles. Silicon Valley is the home of many major companies, as you can see. My house is the blue dot. I can ride my bicycle to some of my clients, Adobe, eBay, etc. It feels like we're creating the future in Silicon Valley. I call it the primordial ooze. Not that it's the only place in the world where the future is being created. It's being created in Malaysia and China and Japan and many, many places in the world. Here, though, we have a collection of a lot of companies that are focused on the future. Growing up in Silicon Valley and as a young adult, I became fascinated with what makes these companies so world-class. What allows them and encourages the people to be innovative, to be creative, to be cutting edge. I began studying them, not only my clients, but the other companies around. I looked at a couple of elements of what I thought made a thriving workplace, which creates this innovative atmosphere. I've got 3 things to share with you about a thriving workplace. The first one, your staff is excited to come to work. Who would like that? Who would like it to have your staff excited to come to work? Yes, raise those hands high. The second one, your staff shares how to increase effectiveness. Who would like that? Yes, good. And the third one, your staff solves problems without your involvement. 2 hands, right? These are indicators of a thriving workplace. If that's happening on your team, you know you've created or contributed to a thriving workplace. Our focus is on leadership lessons throughout our whole day today. I'm going to give you just one slice of the leadership because we don't have very much time. My slice is going to be specifically on team leadership. Why team leadership? Because Jack Welch, among others, says building a great team is a leader's top priority. Bernadette Reitman said, leaders are defined by the quality of their teams. And this famous international consultant says, in business and in football, success is built not on only 1 or 2 key players, but on a great team. Natasha Tamaru says, effective teams may be the most vital ingredient for successful transformation and innovation. Sometimes we think it just is a great leader that creates innovation, but we know, really, that it's the whole team. You can't just have a few stars. The whole team has to be innovative and creative in order to really keep yourself at that cutting edge. I'm going to share with you one study from Google. They looked at what made their top teams. They came up with 5 elements, which I'll share with you in just a moment. They looked at 180 teams worldwide. They included a mix of high and low performers. They had 1,500 interviews with various team players and team leaders. They analyzed over 250 different team attributes to come up with just 5 that they decided were the most critical to creating an effective team. So you're saying, Rebecca, what are those 5? I'm going to give you the 5. I'll give you the definitions. Then I'm going to have you vote. So these are the 5: dependability, impact, meaning, psychological safety, and structure and clarity. Dependability is team members reliably complete quality work on time. There's no shirking. Nobody is not pulling their weight. They're all dependable. You can count on them to get the job done, high quality, in the right amount of time. The next one is impact. The results of one's work, the subjective judgment that your work makes a difference. Impact is outward focused. It's how do we make an impact beyond our team to other people in the company or in society or in the community. Meaning, finding a personal sense of purpose in either the work itself or the output. You like what you do. You like your job. You like the tasks. You like the processes that you do. Psychological safety, which is an individual's perception that the team is safe for risk-taking, which means you can try new things. You can be innovative. You can try new things and fail. No one's going to ostracize you. No one's going to make fun of you or put you down. The 5th one is structure and clarity. An individual's understanding of job expectations and the consequences of one's performance. That's a clear job description. When are you going to get bonuses? When might you be put on probation? All the criteria that make up the structure of your job. All right, you ready to vote? I'm going to give you all 5 again. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand on which one you think was the top one. Ready? Who thought dependability was the top one? A few people. Who thought impact was the top one? Maybe a quarter of you. Meaning? Wow, that's the vast majority. That's maybe 75 or 80% of you. Psychological safety. Maybe 20%. Structure and clarity. A few? Excellent. I'm going to share with you the top one. You ready? Okay, so I need a drum roll. Can you get... Psychological safety. Was anyone surprised? Yeah, psychological safety. I can get into more of that at another time. We're going to focus on another one of the top 5. I'm going to give you the rest of them just so you have a complete picture, and we're using the hand again. So psychological safety, dependability, structure and clarity, meaning, and impact. So the last one is impact, which is the one we're going to focus on today because that's the focus of our MLS today. Natasha, again from Google, says, who is on the team matters much less than how team members interact. That's the psychological safety part, how they interact. Structure their work, that's dependability and structure and clarity, and view their contributions. That's the meaning and the impact. So she says, it doesn't really matter if you've got a lot of geniuses on your team, even though if you're on the team, there must be geniuses, obviously. Yet it matters these other ways that the team comes together. Glint, which is now owned by LinkedIn, is a research company. It found that 46% of the professionals that were surveyed are proud to work at companies that have a positive impact on society. Almost half the people said they were proud to work for a company that can see the impact they have on society. KPMG did a survey of tech executives a few years ago, and they came out with the 35% of these executives struggle to link their growth strategy with a societal purpose for their company. How many of you think that your company does express a societal purpose? It's clear to your employees what your societal purpose is. How many of you feel that way? About a third of you. So there's some room for you to grow, and I will show you in a second. How many of you have used Airbnb as a guest? Wow, almost all of you. Anybody as a host? Anybody a host? A few of you. So I'm a host and a guest, and I have spoken at all 3 of their international conferences. So I've been on all sides. I will share with you that the 3 gentlemen who started it, were first focused on creating inexpensive lodging for people and to help other people make a little extra income. Now that Airbnb is 11 years old, what they found is there's a bigger societal impact than they imagined. As a host, I end up hosting my neighbors' parents and grandparents when they come to visit. Because frankly, do you want your parents and grandparents living with you for a few days? It's easier on everyone if the parents and grandparents stay somewhere else. Because my home is not in the center of town, then there aren't a lot of hotels. So this enables families to come and visit more often. They get to bond more. They have a stronger connection with the children and grandchildren, parents and grandparents. They hadn't imagined that when they first started Airbnb. It also allows people to stay in their home, renting out a room a few nights a month that they may have not been able to do before. The local small businesses get more business because there are people frequenting their restaurants, shopping in their shops because they're not going to the malls. They're staying local near the Airbnbs. Airbnb has a major societal impact that they never imagined, and they are very proud of it now. Chris Urmson is the CEO of Aurora, which is a self-driving car company. Chris got inspired when he learned that there are 1.35 million automobile accidents or deaths every year, and he wanted to do something about it. He started working on Aurora to create a self-driving car. Once self-driving cars get moving and get safe and tested, that number, 1.35 million, will be reduced significantly. It's human error that causes most of the accidents, not the cars. In Silicon Valley, I see self-driving cars driving around all the time. Yeah, it's very common. Chris said the most amazing breakthroughs come from teams who like working together and people who know they're contributing to something important. They know they're contributing to something important. So Chris reminds them on a regular basis that we are working to save millions of lives every year. That gives people more passion, more focus on creating good work. Chris Patton from Fujitsu says more employees will look for meaningful work which contributes to society. That's the trend. The younger people are looking for how do we contribute to society, not just make a good paycheck. And this gentleman you know, Steve Jobs from Apple, the creator of Apple. Steve and I are the same age. He would be the same age if he were still alive. We grew up 14 miles from each other. We had a lot of parallelism, except he was a genius and I'm not. I tracked his career because we lived so close by. He was in the news all the time. In about 1980, our local newspaper did an article on him, and he said this: "We get to create so few things in this life. We really have such a short time here. Some of us just want to make it count." He was not even 30 years old when he said that. He had no idea he would die at age 55, 56. Yet he had a very short time on this earth. None of us know how long we have. We want to make a difference. We want to make an impact while we are here. His philosophy, of course, was transferred to the Genius bars and the stores and all of the Apple products and services. A few years ago, I went to a Genius bar for a very complicated problem with my Mac. I spent 3 hours at the Genius bar with the Genius that day. The Genius was named Kaylee. I said, "Kaylee, what do you like about being a genius?" He said, "We don't just fix equipment. We repair relationships." He knew, Apple knows, that if there's a problem with your equipment, you are not going to probably buy another one. You're going to be more reticent to buy another one. He spent 3 hours with me that day in order to make sure that my relationship was solid with him. Some of you may know that Apple has one of the highest loyalty rates among companies. I bought my first Apple in 1989. I've never bought another brand. Imagine what our lifetime is worth with them, our lifetime spend. Susan Wojcicki is a fellow graduate of my college, UC Santa Cruz. At a recent alumni meeting, she said, doing something impactful gets you through the hard times. Looking at what are you doing out in the community? What are you doing to make an impact? Adam Grant, in his book Give and Take, said, when people know how their work makes a difference, they feel energized to give more. Joe Brown said, purpose-driven companies dramatically outperform the market and better attract and retain their talent. There's a business case for communicating impact to your team. By the way, he's from IDEO, which was one of the companies that designed many of the early Apple products. KPMG has a higher purpose initiative. It's a comprehensive effort to strengthen our people's pride, engagement, and emotional connection to the firm by encouraging them to recognize and celebrate the meaning and positive impact of the work they do. Now, they have quantified what this initiative has done for their business. I'm going to share a few things with you. People who have become engaged with this initiative say, instead of I'm an auditor, they say I fight fraud. Others say I promote peace if they are working with a company that promotes peace, or maybe an NGO. I protect our energy for those who are consulting with the energy sector. Do you see how they have a vision beyond their individual work? They have found that there's a 30 to 50% increase on key items on a survey when the managers have communicated the higher purpose. And I'm going to give you some of that data next. I'm going to just give you 4 answers to their questions. I want you to note, though, please, there's a purple box that will illustrate the employees whose leaders communicate purpose. And the pink coral box are employees whose leaders do not communicate purpose. I feel my work makes an impact. Look at that. 80% of when the managers communicate, here's the impact we have, that's amazing. The employees feel they know they're making an impact, twice as many as when the managers don't communicate. I'm inspired and encouraged to continually improve. 91%. Can you say that in your company? Can people in your company say, I am encouraged to continuously improve, to the point of 91% saying yes? That's phenomenal. A great place to work. Don't you want people who say it's a great place to work at your place? Less turnover, less absenteeism. 94%. That's phenomenal. I rarely think about looking for a new job. 2/3 of the people say, I rarely think about looking for a new job, because their managers are communicating the impact they have on society and the world. At Wells Fargo, the bankers realized the impact of their work while watching videos, sharing how the Wells Fargo loans helped the customer. They saw the impact. The loan officers often only see them when they're signing the documents. They don't know what that loan did for that customer. These videos closed the loop. They went out to the customers and said, what impact did this have? And they were phenomenal. Medtronic said, when staff hear patients share how Medtronic's products changed their lives, many employees break down in tears. It's emotional. It's an emotional connection people have once they see that their work makes a difference for many, many more people. I think it's one of the hardest things that we struggle with. How do we know that our work makes a difference? Sometimes we just do it on faith. Sometimes we like to see the results. We like to see something tangible as a result of our work. For our Together We Can Change the World work, we go into the communities, as you have heard. We work with some of the projects that do services for underprivileged women and children. It always makes my heart sing, though, when I get to go and actually hang out with the kids and see their lives. A few years ago, we were in Myanmar visiting a school where we bought them new uniforms. Can you see the joy on these children's faces? By getting a new uniform. What they found was some of the children would not come to school if their uniform was ripped, tattered, stained. They were embarrassed. They didn't want to go to school. By giving them new uniforms, these children are excited to come to school. In fact, we heard one story where a little boy was so excited to have his new uniform that he walked to school naked because he didn't want to soil his uniform. He had his uniform under his arm as he walked to school. Then at the schoolyard, he put on his uniform so it would be fresh and clean for school that day. He's proud of his uniform. We also know that girls are less likely to attend if there's a challenge with their uniform, and we want those girls to grow up and be productive members of the community at their highest level, their highest potential, whatever they want to do. We want to give them the tools that help support them along the way. So this is what makes my heart sing, when I can see my impact on society at large. Even if it's just one child at a time. I know you feel the same way. You like to see the results of your work or your contributions. We're going to go back to the hand and remind you of the 5 Google characteristics. Would you do it with me? Would you put your hands up with me, please? Thank you. First one is psychological safety. Second one is dependability. Third one is structure and clarity, meaning, and impact. So your team's success is in your hand.